Well, hello everyone. Welcome back again. Jake here with you for part 3 of the 350 NX-01 build-up. Tonight I'm going to go through and kind of show you and kind of take you through some of the things that I've done already, just kind of catch you up, and then we'll go through and show you how to do some wiring on this. I know right now that this looks like a hot mess, but let me zoom in and show you the wires I've gotten. You know, last time you saw I had my all the LED light strips down. I went through and added in my front marker lights that go up on this scoop right here on the front, I guess you call it. And I've gotten my my LEDs. There you are. Sorry, I didn't know I wasn't in frame there, but I got my LEDs there and there put in the blue. I've gotten all my went through and put a gloss coat on here, so when I get my decals in, I'll make it easy on me to where they'll slide on, because you want a real nice smooth surface to where you have your decals on, because if it's not smooth, there's a good chance you could rip your decals, and you don't want to do that. So, but anyway, what I've done is I've gone through and got both my navigational and the marker light installed, and got them all wired in. And I know this, like I said, like this looks like a hot mess, but it'll all come together. But we got my strobe put in for the behind the bridge. I now have my I guess these are cargo bay lights put in, and I hooked it up to the board, and it tested out and it looked okay. So so the top saucer is just about finished. I just gotta paint the bridge and put it in, and there's a couple other window right here that's got to go in, and then we'll be good to go. I'm still thinking about trying to take the paint off right here to where I have that Raytheon look, so we'll tinker with that one a little bit later on and see how it goes. So but now on to the lower saucer. Let me zoom back out here so you can get a better view. Onto the lower saucer. I know right now this doesn't look like there's a whole bunch of let me turn this light where you can get a better view, but right now there's not a whole lot going on right now, but I do have my LEDs installed for my red and my green LEDs here for my navigational lights, and then my white marker lights there. I have my board installed right here. This is where all my junctions are going to come through, and one thing that I will mention, and I've heard this many times before, is magnet wire is a good wire. It's a good sturdy wire, but I would not suggest running it as your main power down through your down to your base or to your plug-in jack and everything, because if you have your model set to swivel or twist on the base, there's a chance that if you move this around too much, this magnet wire will eventually fray, and you don't want to do that. So you might want to use a stranded wire, is what they call it, and it'll be a little bit more durable for that. So, and with this, some of the wires are, most of the time, most of the boards, all the reds go together. Then you have all your positives go together. Well, this one's just a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is go through and show. Now I've gotten, let me zoom in and show you what's going to be happening here. See if I can't find where I'm at here. Alright, right here. I've gotten all my positives wired up. Now the green navigational light here is going to be tied into tied into number 2 terminal, and then I guess this is 8 and 10. It comes over and ties in. Let me get the paperwork here and show you. This is the Tenna Controls wiring diagram. So we have LED 8, LED 8, and an LED 10, which are the green and the red. And you see the LED 8 goes into terminal 2, and then LED 10 goes into terminal 3. So you have 3 different wires coming in for all these. So this is, the top and bottom side of the nacelle. The top side of the saucer, which would be 1 and 3, and then you have your LEDs, red and green for 5 and 4, and then I think you have 2 and 9, which 2 is the top side of the saucer, and then 9 is going to go. Let me grab the piece here real quick. If you notice, let me back out a little bit. Alright, if you've noticed in the show, there is a, I don't know if some of some of the show has the a strobe here, but I'm going to mount the strobe right here in the center on the bottom, because most of the time in the show it has an LED right here on the bottom. So I'm going to mount that right there, and that way it'll be flashing. So when it's on, it's on the ship, it'll be ready to go, and you can see it a little bit better that way. So, but also what I've done is, like I made mention to you the other day on part 2, there is no place, if you want to use the mounting pegs that come with the kit, you have to use those 2 clear pieces. But I'm going to do a rod right here in the middle, and this one here is a I guess 3/8 or 1/8 inch all thread rod. You can get these real cheap at your local Lowe's, Home Depot. Basically what it is, this is ceiling fan extensions, to where if you want to hang your ceiling fan a little bit lower than what it is, that's what it is. That's what this is, and then you get your nut and bolt. And then what I did is I got a coupling. I'll show you this coupling right here. What this coupling does is, if you want it to spin, you thread your rod down just enough to where it'll get on the ship, or if you want to put some epoxy or whatever, so this bottom side doesn't move. But then you can screw it on just enough to where your ship will swivel at a full 360 degrees and not worry about it breaking off. But anyway, now on the bottom side, going back to the bottom side of this, I have my the bottom cargo bay doors wired in. I only have the positives, but I need to wire them. Now these are going to be a constant on. So what I'm going to do is run a wire from here and run it around the cross. Maybe run it across the front or the back side here, around this area right here, and then tie it again, and then loop it off. Kind of scroll it off there, and then come out here to where it's connected to the positive. And what I did is I took some, the red for the net positive, the green for the negative, and soldered on, joined them in there. That way my 9-volt power goes out, and then it comes in. Now we're also going to have some other wires for the SW1 switch, where it goes out to where you can slow the speed of the Bassard collector. So that being said, now we'll take you through and show you this. Let me zoom in just a little bit and get you zoomed in there where you can see what I'm doing. To the middle. Let's see, show you right. This is the one we're going to be working with. We're going to be working across from this one to go across to this one here. So try to get you in a little bit of in the frame here. So I might move the camera a little bit. So all right, now where's my green? There's my green. I use 26 gauge. The 26 gauge Demko. Let's see, where am I at? There you are. the 26 gauge Demko. This is I think 315 foot 26 gauge enameled green wire, and I love this stuff. Some people like to use the wire wrapping wire, but anyway, all right, going on to here. This is the end of my wire right here. So what I'm going to do now, if you have a good enough soldering iron, it'll get up to above 800 degrees. You can just take your solder and touch it to the tip of your soldering iron, and then you can touch the tip of it to the tip end of your wire, and it'll tin it that way. But what I like to do is I take just a good old-fashioned fireplace lighter, and you'll see the enamel catch on fire. And then what I like to do is take my Dremel tool and just clean off the dark stuff. And then what I'll do, let me see if I can get back into shot here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this one over here first. That way we can run it across and then have a better view. So let me make sure you're going to be in shot. We're going to be working with this one right here. So here's the short leg of the LED, and then I'm going to do is just take it and wrap it around a couple of times. That way it's on there, and then I'll take my soldering iron, tin the edge, clean off the solder, and then once you see, and then I'll take my solder and touch it to the tip end of my. And then once you see that puff of smoke, you know you got a good enough, and I just take it and rub it across. And I know now that it's on there, and what I'll do is I like to tug on it just to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. So now what I'm going to do is, let me back you out a little bit and show you. I'm going to run it across the back side of the saucer. Let me move this out of the way. It's catching up on me here. And I'm going to run it across right here to where there's just enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cut this wire. What I do is I take my little torch and just kind of burn a little piece of it out in the middle right there. And be careful, it can get hot. And then I just take my Dremel tool, and then what I'll do is now that that's on, I will take my wire and turn it around the other way and wrap it around a couple of times. And then now that's ready to solder on. You don't have to worry about it. So I'll take my solder, clean my tip off, re-tin the tip end of my soldering iron, and then I'll just take it and touch it right across and then let it rub. And now it's down, so I know it ain't gonna go nowhere, so I can take it and tug on it and see it's in place. So now all I got to do is just take it and run just a little bit off, and I'll take my snips and cut it off. And now that one's ready. Those two are ready now. Also, what I'm going to do now is take my constant ons on the side, just right there beside the nav lights, and then you got my. I'm going to pretty much do the same things. I'm going to pre-tin the wire. Just enough to burn the enamel off. Lightly go over it with the soldering iron. Get enough out of there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this leg up. You got to be careful because these what I'm using is 1.8 millimeter LEDs, and they're very sensitive. So these will break at the base of the LEDs if you're not real careful. So Now I'm gonna do my solder. And now I know it's good, so I can tug on it. And then what I'm going to do is just run it across kind of the same way I might go across. Let's see. We'll go across the same way to this one. Make sure I leave enough slack to where I can mount it. I can mount it to where it's down on the ship there, where I can super glue it, or use some CA glue, and then hot glue. So I just got ahead of myself. I realized what I did now. I was going to take in another piece of this and then run it back up to where this piece is, or I might just tie this one on right there where that green is. So let me get this piece put on, cleaned up and ready to go. Alright, that one's ready to go. So now what I'll do is I'll twist these two together. And I'll wrap this around this leg, being careful. Because I've had these break on me many a time, these legs. So now that one come apart on me here, so hang on a second. Let me. There we go. I'll tin my soldering iron. Rub it across there until you see that puff of smoke. Didn't realize there wasn't any frame there. Take my solder and give it a little extra. That way I know it's got a good connection. And then now I'm going to run it across to this leg back over here to where the first one was, and I'm going to cut it. Now I don't need my green anymore. I'm going to do the same thing and clean the end. Like I said, you'll see the enamel ignite off this, and once you do that, you don't have to hold it anymore. And then what I'll do is I'll just take my magnet wire and just kind of run it through the middle of the two wires, and then solder it up. Just a little bit of extra solder. Alright, now I know that's good to go. And I'll clean the tip end of this off so that way I have a way to test it. Alright, well, now all of our wires should be ready to go. So I'll take my testing to my power supply here and hook them up. We should have power on 4 LEDs. Yep, right there. So now you can see we have, let me flip this over to where you can see it and turn my light off here. So now you can see the, let me get in my shadow here. Let me darken the, see if I can't darken the room here a little bit by putting something over, but you can see the LEDs now. They're they're lit up real nice and pretty. So now we don't have to worry about that. So we know that they're got a good connection. All right, so now we have our so now we have all that done. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull my power wire back out. And I'm going to reroute this green wire up underneath. That way I can tack it down. When I use this 5 to 15 second, this is a good flavor, I guess I guess you want to call it, of super glue. The light blue is just too runny, so what I do is I just hold my wire down until it catches, and sometimes I blow on it to get it to stick, but now it's down. And what I'll do is I'll just go through here a couple more times and do the same thing. And this is I use the Instaset, or you can find, if you have it, you can find the zip kicker, and it works wonders. I mean, this stuff tacks down almost instantly. So that's ready to go, and then what I'll do is I'll tack it down over here one more time. And you don't need a whole lot, just enough to get it to where it's gonna, it's gonna stick down. Alright, one more time over here in the corner, just to make sure it ain't gonna go nowhere, or get in the way of other wires. And also too, when you go into light block, I have found that you can use black enamel model paint. I use the stuff that comes in the little the black that comes in the little testers. I keep that stuff around, but it black. Or you can use, I found this out, this tulip. In the craft section, and it works real well as a light blocker, and you can put this on where in between your navigational lights and all that kind of stuff, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So now that we have all that down, I'm gonna stick a little bit more right here, a little more glue. Let that set up for a second. Alright, now most of the time on a lot of these other ships you can tie in your greens all to one and then run it off because they both flash at the same time. Well, on this one, the board, this one, it ties into terminal number 13. So what I'm going to do is get my green wire and wrap it around. I'm going to make sure these legs stick up, and then I'm going to wrap it around, go across and then over and then back down, so that way we know where it's at. So let me do that. Let me zoom in a little bit, see if I can't get you a little bit better picture of what I'm doing. See, I want to start with this side. Let me move this. I'll start off with this side. Let's see, right there. I'm going to move the camera up just a little bit. Alright, that way we're not off our working mat. So now you're seeing we're right here on this leg I've got it sticking up. So what I'm going to do now is take my green LED and do my green magnet wire and do the same, basically the same thing. And once you start doing this a couple of times, it starts getting a whole lot better. You can do it a lot faster. Alright, that's down. Now I'll clean my tip of my soldering iron off and re-tin my soldering iron, and then I'll run that across, and what I'll do is I'll add just a little bit extra solder to make sure it's got a good connection. Alright, that's got a good connection. Now sometimes you'll have a little bit sticking over, so what I do is I just take it and if there's enough, I'll just take it and trim it off. That way, because you don't want to make, you want to make sure that when you do this, you don't get any wires contacting any other. You don't want to make sure that you don't get your negative and your positive close enough together where they don't make contact when you get it together. If you do that, it may end up causing the bulb to blow or the circuit, or you can even blow the board. So, all right, now that's down. So what I'm going to do is again run my wire across, and I may go up this way since it's up. This way. Let me back out again. Get to the other side. Get enough on my off my spool here. So what I'm going to do is I'll back you out and show you what I'm going to do again. Is I'm going to run my wire across the front just like I did the other green one, and run it to this other leg right here. So and then I'm basically doing what I did a while ago. Run it here, wrap it around, and to where it'll go into the terminal. So let me clean it off, make sure I have enough. What I'm going to do is go ahead and tack it down real quick, that way it doesn't go anywhere. Alright, that one's there. Put a little more here. You want to make sure you do this. You don't have to do, every so many inches. Just enough to keep it from moving. I like to tack it down real nice and neat to where it ain't going to move anywhere. Alright, that's down. I usually do about every 2 inches or so to make sure it's tacked down. I'm running out of Instaset. Alright, now that's done. I'll put may do one more right there. Oh, and two, you want to make mention, you might want to keep your lid on when in between doing this, because this stuff dries out a lot, and the glue will get up in here and dry, so you want to make sure that you keep your lid on it at all times. Alright, get this up from underneath my mat. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have enough wire, and let me zoom back in again and make sure that I can get you in a good frame. Alright, so that way you can see what I'm doing up close. Like I said, I'll take my and clean it off. Alright, then I'll take it and wrap it around. I'll kind of pinch it off, pinch it around, and you shouldn't really need a whole bunch. To just enough to, and just take your solder, and that should be enough. And now it should be down. It might still be a little warm, but it's there now. So all we got to do is just take it and cut it and then back out. Whoops, sorry, wrong way. Alright, cut it and back it out, and just enough to where we have enough, leave enough slack to go put it in the terminal. And then you can see for the LEDs, like I said, all the LEDs, all the green, I use green for my negative, all the greens will go into terminal number 13 on the board. So I'll clean the tip of my wire off. Alright, and then get my little screwdriver, whatever I did with it. There it is. And then I'll test it with my power supply to make sure we have everything working. Now we should have everything will come on. The only things that are going to come on is the nav lights, but I'm going to hook this up because I should have power. What I'm going to do is just hook this up to this green one here, which is our main power light, just to hook it up and to test it. So let me clean off get my little trusty wire strippers here, and that's it on that one. There's my negative, or my positive. Twist the stranded wire around a couple of times. Alright, now hook up my power supply. Alright, well, let me turn my light off, my light around here and zoom out. You can see you have your I'll zoom in and I'm holding it up. You can have your navigational lights moving, on and off, blinking, so we know the board works there. So that's pretty much all the wiring we're going to be doing on this. I don't know why the green. There we go. Just not a good enough connection. Let me, there we go. So now you can see we have lights. We have our lights on our constant ons, and then we have our docking bays, or our shuttle bays there, and then we are constant on the front. So now we know that's got a good connection. We know the board's working. So I'm happy with that, and that'll be it for this episode, folks. Now the next time you see me part 4, I should have one of the nacelles together and hooked up, and mocked up and ready to go, so we can show you how that works. So until then, folks, we'll take care, and we'll yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you how I do the tulip. And I'd basically just squeeze it. Let me find a good shot here. Let me zoom in to find a. There we go. We'll be on the starboard side, and all I do is I just take and squirt it across, making sure you get enough down in there. Where it's at, to where, and you're gonna have to let this sit for 2 or 3 hours because it does take a long time to dry. So we'll do the other side. Alright, well that's that. So there shouldn't be any really reason to light block these, because they're going to be pretty much a constant on. So these will help illuminate the inside. So back you out there. So the next time I still gotta paint, tint my lower sensor dome on that one. This is gonna have it's not gonna be, it's gonna be kind of like a yellowish white, I think, if I'm correctly thinking of it. And we'll get that tinted and put down in there, and we'll start putting our sidewalls on. We've got to do the front deflector dish, and I'll have all that done, and then the stuff back here. So until then, folks, take care, and we'll see you around the bend.